peoples. It's top of the morning around these parts, y'all. I pray you all are well. I pray that you all are maintaining. It's starting to get bitterly cold around the shy. Y'all make sure y'all layering up, okay? I'm going to give this to you all. I'm going to take my time giving it to you all because I was having this conversation with somebody. I told y'all some of this stuff just comes up in conversation, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't touch a part of my testimony. So I'm going to get this to y'all, okay? And what we were discussing is how when you're born, the situation that your parents are in at that time can affect you. And I had to dig back in the crates through my past and figure this out. And I got to thinking, like, what was it like for my mama when she was carrying me? And then when I came out, what was the environment like? Who were we living with? Who was ultimately responsible for me? Because my mama was 18 when she had me. Who was watching me when she went out, when she kicked it? She was young. I had to really think about what her living situation was like as I was a baby. And I'm asking all of these questions. Understand the questions that you have to ask yourself, because sometimes we're birthed into a situation and habitually we take things into our adulthood and we don't know where we even picked it up from. Now, if you this just off the top of my head now, if you grew up eating burnt toast and burnt toast was a normal in that house, as you get older, you eating burnt toast not knowing that the toast ain't got to be burnt. That's the way they liked it in that house, and that's the way they fed it to you. So it makes all the difference when you're growing up not knowing. And sometimes we grow up and we carry other people's baggage with us. And by that, I mean, if you had to assist in raising your parent, and here's what I mean by that. You have some people that have their children young and grow up with their children, and then their children turn somewhat into being the parent themselves. Understand what I'm saying? Because that creates a whole nother level of baggage. I want you all to understand that when you come out the womb and you come into a situation from the womb, like literally, she pushed you out, and all of a sudden you in a house that got a whole lot of stuff going on in it. Understand what I'm saying? And that baggage does not go away easily. We all know that as adults, we carry it. So now you're with someone, your parent or parents are carrying you around with their baggage. You are now being handled as part of this baggage. Because keep in mind, a lot of us, and by us, I mean Black people, we don't typically plan to have kids. I ain't going to say it's something that just happened, because I think we all know we're taking a risk when we lay down and have unprotected sex without birth control. It is what it is. But at the same time, we're not thinking about what we're birthing that child into. When you really think about it, what was your mama going through at that time? What was your daddy going through? How was your mama raised? How was your daddy raised? Who raised your mama? Who raised your daddy? And if somebody outside of their parents had to raise them, why was somebody else raising them? Where were their parents at? Was there drugs in the house? Was there alcohol in the house? Were there people coming in and out the house and it was a lot of company? People that were untrustworthy? Were there people that were looking at you that called themselves your parents' friends? I want y'all to think about all of this. How was your parents' health at that age? Were they sickly? Did they have insurance? Did they go to the doctor often? Were they brushing their teeth? Understand what I'm saying? These are questions you have to ask, because understand, you're living in this. You are a part of whatever it is that they're carrying. I want you all... I want you all to understand this, because it hit me like a ton of bricks. I can remember some of the things that my mother was fostering, some of the things that my mother was carrying. And I really got to thinking about how I was as I was coming along that pipeline. If my mama got evicted, I was evicted. Understand what I'm saying? This is her baggage, but I'm part of it. If my mama is trying to figure out a way to go and put food on the table, that means I'm hungry too. Come on now. This is her baggage, but I am part of it. Do you hear me? If she couldn't afford to have me, then I'm going to suffer through her struggles and her trying to keep up with the things that I need. I'm part of her baggage. Do you hear me? And just sometimes, because I've had a history of how my mother raised me is how I started out raising my children. It becomes habitual because you're used to sitting in somebody else's baggage. And for some reason, all of a sudden, things that are dysfunctional in our house are actually normal to us. And then you go to somebody else's house and they looking at you crazy because they sitting there like, we don't do things like that. I'm gonna give y'all a prime example of this because I had to develop some things that were outside of what my mother did with us, with my children. Because as I became more conscientious of what it was that I was doing wrong as a parent, I tried to incorporate something that was outside of whatever it was my mother would do. And I had a couple kids over. Y'all know I'm notorious for the children. I had a couple kids over, and I made something to eat, and the assumption was that we off to these rooms to eat. No, baby, we sit at the table and eat. And it was what killed me is it was like, do you all sit at the table at your house? Now hear what I'm giving you all. Hear what I'm saying, okay? And what I got in return, in response, was no, my mama cooked, but my daddy not usually there to eat dinner. So my mama go in her room and I go in my room, and later on I do the dishes. Understand what we gonna skip over in that instant is there's something going on between the two parents, and this baby is in their baggage. Understand, we have to look at the weight of what we carrying and how much weight we didn't put off on our kids because they carrying some of this too, y'all. Understand that. We birthing them, but we not understand that they coming right out into our mess. I want y'all to just take that in and receive it because I had to figure out a way to separate my kids from my baggage. And I want you all to understand something. They too small to carry that type of weight. I love you all, and I will see you next video.